Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me. I'm going to talk to you today about telemedicine, telehealth, and telementoring. These items have been extremely helpful in helping us address the recent COVID-19 pandemic, but there is a lot of confusion about where we go from here in these areas. The first thing I want to touch on for you is telemedicine and telehealth. Now, obviously, as you all know, there's a big division between federal and state policy. Your state policies are going to be the ones that really address what is permissible in your state related to the standard of care in telemedicine and telehealth. The good news is that generally these policies really focus on the standard of care, i.e., as long as the standard of care is being met, most of the states are fairly permissive, but you are going to want to check your own state's policy in relation to how video is required and how and when things like store and forward of a static image, like an x ray, are allowed. And that's the underlying basis of what's permissible under the law in the states. Federally, those laws really address the items surrounding the practice of medicine, and we'll get to those at the end. The second pieces, obviously, that you're dealing with are going to be reimbursement. Now, the federal and the state public health emergencies have different timelines. Most all of the state PHEs are gone. There are some left, including Texas, but the federal PHE is still in place. It is set to expire this week, but almost everyone expects an extension because CMS has made it very clear that there will be a time frame in which they give us a warning before the official end of the public health emergency. Now, why is that relevant? It's relevant because the public health emergency is what is allowing billing to occur through CMS backed services like Medicare for telehealth and telemedicine outside of very narrow geographic requirements. And there are lots of bills right now that are live in Congress that are looking to address these reimbursements. However, the vast majority of them sort of kick the can down the road and give us an extension to allow those reimbursements to continue to happen for another year, maybe another 2 years, while we gather information before they make permanent changes. But the good news is it looks like we'll have the space to do that. Now, telementoring is a different story altogether. A handful of states do allow for direct reimbursement, i.e., you submit a bill and you get paid for it, but not very many. There are pilot projects everywhere on this. There are all types of inventive ways that people are trying to look at figuring out a way to cover this benefit because they recognize how meaningful and how beneficial it can be. But I do want to point out that there are what we would call reimbursement benefits beyond that sort of simple direct billing for a service model. And that is when a patient is able to stay in their home location and continue to have that good care relationship with their physician. The other items surrounding that are the ones that become billable, and it increases the patient care. It's better for the relationship between the provider, and it allows it to be sort of almost subsidized by the other billing that surrounds the care given in that relationship. So keep an eye out for that possibility. Then finally, I want to touch very quickly on those other federal considerations. These relate to HIPAA and the privacy laws, Stark and anti kickback laws, prescribing laws, and licensing laws. These were all given pause under the public health emergency, but when that ends, these will end. So if you haven't started preparing, now would be the time to do so. Thank you so much.